Why does the world always welcome Chinese leaders? The economy that welcomes Chinese leader Xi Jinping as he begins his third term as Secretary General of the Chinese Communist Party is quite different from that which saw him accede to his position 10 years ago. If he makes the wrong choices during this new term, the Chinese economy might shrink by up to $5 trillion over the following 5 years, which could have disastrous consequences for world growth. Keep watching to know more about this leader. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and greetings. Today's video will show you that Xi Jinping is taking a new economic direction now, so stay focused. You won't believe that China was a nation of newly discovered wealth rising quickly when Xi took office as its leader in 2012. Over Xi's first two administrations, the Chinese economy grew almost 7% annually, virtually doubling in size. The current state of affairs has significantly changed. The state will miss China's yearly gross domestic product growth target for the first time since 1989. Beijing officially cites the extensive COVID-19 limitations it has imposed nationwide to justify the slowdown. But a downturn in growth before the epidemic began and economic issues, including a collapse in the real estate market, troubled local government budgets, and growing young unemployment, indicate that downturn may have deeper causes. In the opening paragraph, Xi briefly referenced the good results that the country's COVID policy has helped coordinate with economic growth. He omitted to say whether the policy would be discontinued or maintained. Controls over COVID in China aided the economy's swift recovery in 2020, but this year, the divisive zero-COVID policy has become more strict, leading investment banks to lower their growth projections for China continually. In the future, Xi stressed the need for a robust technology basis for the nation to realize its modernization objectives. His list of topics included: we are enhancing China's capabilities in space transportation, digital development. We are improving the quality of its produced goods. He omitted to say whether the policy would be discontinued or maintained. Xi stated a healthy online environment. A world economy currently teetering on the verge of recession will not benefit from China's slow economic development, which may help the balance of power between Washington and Beijing. If China under Xi keeps stumbling, many other economies, including ours, will suffer. Ordinary people in many other nations will suffer, and extremists of all stripes will profit. Second, giving national security considerations a higher priority than economic growth is a clear example of spiral model dynamics. The US and other countries have reacted defensively to China's rising might and expanding ambitions. Unsurprisingly, Beijing now understands that the world is increasingly dangerous and wants to defend itself from actions taken by the US to limit its future development. Unfortunately, the two nations' worsening ties have already made it more challenging to handle issues like climate change, and they will probably make it considerably more difficult in the future. China and the United States are starting to resemble two paddlers arguing over who gets to sit in the rear and direct as their canoe is barreling down the Niagara River toward the falls regarding climate change. As concerns about the country's economic performance rise, new research from the Atlantic Council Geoeconomics Center examines whether the growth slowdown is a temporary setback brought on by Beijing's pandemic response or a sign that China is deviating from market thinking. The data covers 2010 to 2021 and shows that, despite uneven development, China's economy has converged with open market economy norms. It includes information on the development of China's financial system, market competition, trade openness, steps toward a modern innovation system, and portfolio openness. Although China's economy is still lagging behind that of Japan, the UK, and the US, it has made significant strides in innovation and commerce, with only moderate advancements in the growth of its financial system. On the other hand, it has made slower headway at enacting changes that promote market competition and investment openness. China's advancement in innovation and trade openness are expected to continue in the future. The 20th Party Congress did not indicate significant shifts in China's economic policy direction. Xi has identified trade and innovation as his top goals for his third term. There are still gaps in that development, indicating more profound structural weaknesses that cannot be quickly resolved, placing China at risk of reversing course. Beijing is concentrated on connecting its economy with international trade flows of products during the last 10 years. The percentage of imported products that pass through its economy has climbed from around 9% in 2010 to 12.5% in 2021. The average import tariff rate has decreased from about 10% to about 7.5%. Through Xi's third term, China's trade barriers will continue to fall as Beijing pursues new trade agreements, including perhaps one with Uruguay, and adheres to an export-led growth model. China's path toward trade liberalization could have been clearer cut, though. The tale of China's development is complicated by non-tariff restrictions on trade in products, services, and digital goods, and Beijing's unwillingness to modify exchange rates to balance its budget and subsidies. Given the expanding importance of digital commerce for advanced economies, Beijing's limits on digital trade are particularly noteworthy. Since 2014, China's performance in this sector has been worse due to the constraints Xi has put in place during the last 8 years. Despite Beijing's economic reforms, China's exports are no longer the development engine they once were. Near-term demand for Chinese goods overseas is declining as the rest of the world edges closer to the recession, and a long-term concentration on export-driven growth cannot displace a shift towards domestic spending. Beijing still has to increase domestic demand for China to switch to a sustainable economic model. According to an official English translation, Xi remarked in Chinese that without solid material and technical foundations, it was impossible to construct a great modern socialist nation. Since the 19th National Congress of the party, the U.S. has put more pressure on China. To protect the United States' technological advantage over China, the Biden administration has referred to China as a strategic rival and imposed additional export restrictions on semiconductors this month. In his nearly 2-hour address, Xi avoided mentioning any particular nations. He did, however, devote a portion to outlining how the country will prioritize education to cultivate its scientific talent and quicken the start of national initiatives of strategic and long-term importance. He didn't give any further information. Additionally, he should have paid more attention to growth strategies. Xi stated that the nation would strive to increase productivity, strengthen its supply networks, and increase total economic production. It's essential that he emphasize that development comes first, said Ding Shuang, Standard Chartered's senior economist for Greater China and North Asia. The significance of an action is noted, since there is some doubt about it. According to Xi, the government aspires to attain a GDP per capita similar to a medium-developed country by 2035. This term has been applied to China to nations like the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Neither did Xi address urgent economic challenges like the persistent burden on local government finances or make any concrete allusions to new initiatives. Instead, it was up to the economists to analyze Xi's remarks for hints. For instance, a proposal to control wealth accumulation and income distribution may spark speculation regarding an impending inheritance tax. In other economic sectors monitored by China Pathfinder, China's reform progress during Xi's first 2 administrations has been middling. In addition, China's transition to a market economy stalled in 2021 in numerous sectors, including innovation. Beijing's initiatives to improve its financial system and market competitiveness have stalled, and since 2020, it has been less accessible to both direct and portfolio investment. Given that Politburo Standing Committee is wholly made up of party faithful for the first time since 1989, the 20th Party Congress showed no evidence of defying this trend. Dangerous consequences will follow for China's long-term growth rate. Market changes in China should be viewed as something other than Western compromises. Instead, they form the foundation of China's possibilities for economic progress. They will force Beijing to continue the pro-growth reform track the CCP articulated in 2013, but mostly abandoned during Xi's second term because of the harm inflicted on China's GDP growth prospects by the collapse of its real estate market. Unfortunately, the worry is that Beijing will instead revert to the status solutions that have determined the course of the economy since the end of Xi's second term, which is the more likely conclusion. He declared that the nation would support achieving wealth via labor and growing its middle class. He said China would standardize some processes for accumulating money. He echoed previous pronouncements about accelerating initiatives to stimulate home purchases and rentals, but avoided directly addressing China's chronic real estate problems. That's all we have for you today. Take a look at how Jinping is taking a new economic direction now. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any future videos, subscribe to the channel and switch on notifications. First and foremost, what do you think about these leaders, and how can you justify them more precisely? Please participate and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching.